once a contract is assigned to a buyer, is the assignor still obligated to fulfill the agreements in the contract if the assignee backs out? So if the buyer gets assigned the contract, but then backs out after the inspection period, would that mean that I would be obligated to purchase the property? Thank you. And this is an important one.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question, and I definitely commend the individual for asking this, thinking a few steps ahead. It's kind of like playing chess. You want to understand your contract very well, which again is why we created that in-depth walkthrough video going line by line to empower you guys to move with confidence, to offer with confidence, because it is just knowing your next few moves which can give you that advantage when you're under contract on a property. So it really will depend on your purchase agreement as to what happens in the case of a buyer default. So this question is really saying that, hey, I've assigned my purchase and sale agreement to a new buyer, and now that contract is non-contingent, meaning they're locked in, their earnest money deposit is now non-refundable. So if the buyer does not perform and close on that contract, then that would be considered a buyer default, right? You're defaulting on that contract. So what would happen to the wholesaler in that situation? So again, it depends on what your contract says about buyer default, but in our assignment addendum, it does transfer any rights and liability and responsibility and risk to the cash buyer, right? To the end buyer. So that is why you want to have a rock solid assignment addendum to protect you as the wholesaler, and that you want to make sure that your buyer is now on the hook for anything on the original contract. That being said, I tend to err on the side of caution when it comes to your original purchase and sale agreement. So if your purchase and sale agreement says that the original assignor, right, the original buyer, even if they assign the contract, they are still liable for that original contract. So we just had a situation where a student brought us a deal, and I believe it was in Florida, using the Florida Realtor Purchase Agreement. And in that agreement, they have multiple check boxes which can give the purchaser the options to decide and designate whether or not they will be responsible after the assignment. So some contracts actually give you the opportunity to say, I am going to be responsible after the assignment, or I am not going to be liable for anything that happens after the assignment. So that contract is pretty interesting because it gives you the options. And so I would always revert back to what's in that contract. And so in the case that you are liable, like let's go with that, you want to mitigate your risk. So you have to pretty much assume, we always want to protect our downsides as smart wholesalers, right? As smart real estate investors going into these purchase agreements, because there is money on the line a lot of the times. So you want to mitigate your risk by understanding the contract. And so in that situation, if the contract says you are liable, then you just have to understand that what's that downside risk. So usually what the downside risk is, it's limited to your earnest money deposit. So it's called liquidated damages. You always want to look for the liquidated damages clause in a contract. And what that means is that if you default on the contract, the financial ceiling of any sort of consequence to the buyer is limited to the amount of the earnest money deposit. So again, if your buyer defaults, the biggest risk is that earnest money deposit will go to the seller. The seller will keep the deposit. So how do you protect yourself in that situation? You ask for that non-refundable deposit at the time of assignment. And so when you receive that, let's say that the buyer defaults, now it's essentially the buyer's money at risk. So you now don't have any money in the deal. And like I said earlier, if they paid you more money than you put into the deal as the earnest money deposit, guess what? You get to keep that money because that's how our assignment agreement is structured. And you might actually profit on a deal that you didn't even have closed, right? Your buyer didn't close and you didn't close either. So that's why we've structured it that way, so that when we have a buyer locked in, they're committing not only verbally, but they're also committing financially, and they're pretty much locked in. So again, it depends on the contract, but the way that we've structured our assignment addendum protects you even if you are liable. Now, there are scenarios where a seller could elect to pursue specific performance, which is kind of the other side of a buyer default. So what specific performance means, and I know we're getting a little in the weeds here, but I think it'd be helpful for everyone.
Absolutely.
Is specific performance just means they can take action to enforce the contract, meaning they can take legal action to force the buyer to purchase the property. So that is the worst case scenario. And in the Florida contract, it actually gives the seller the option to either A, take the earnest money deposit as liquidated damages and keep the deposit and release the buyer from any further liability. It's very unlikely. I've talked to numerous attorneys about this, and almost all of them say, hey, it's very rare that a seller pursues specific performance. They're just going to take the money and call it a day and just find a new buyer.
Yeah.
So in reality, the risk of that happening is very minimal, which again is why I feel comfortable even entering contracts where I'm still liable as the wholesaler as long as I'm protected through getting that deposit from the buyer.
Great response. And just for some added color, I think, it's very important to understand that the contract, whatever contract you're using, an on-market contract for your state, any off-market contract, the contract, what's agreed upon, that's the law of the land. It's what everyone has agreed upon. And, we get questions all the time. They're asking specific contract questions, and we haven't even seen the contract. We don't know what was in the contract, what was agreed upon. And so, I know it might sound like the most boring thing in the world, but you got to read the contract that you're using, and you have to understand it. I think a lot of people aren't willing to go and do that. And I always like to say, just grab a couple coffees, go to Starbucks, read the contract, understand it like the back of your hand. They're pretty straightforward. You've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for years. Just understand your contract. What you agree upon in here is the law of the land. And it really is about mitigating your risk. And one thing we always like to talk about too with buyers, we're not finding random buyers that we don't trust at all, that we've never met, that we just have an email, we don't know their name. A big reason or a big way to mitigate your risk besides having bulletproof contracts is to just find great buyers too, that actually have a reputation, that want to close on transactions, that have closed on transactions, that do have a track record. Because they understand these contracts too. They understand if they're leaving you high and dry. They don't want to do that, right? The best cash buyers, they want you bring them deals as a wholesaler. They want to close deals with you. They understand the more deals they close and the happier they make you, the more deals you're going to bring them. And, I just see time and time again, a lot of people have never taken action. They're worried about all these what ifs, and a lot of these what ifs can be just solved by finding better cash buyers or great cash buyers and not leaving that till the nth hour. When you have a deal under contract, you're scrambling around trying to find a cash buyer, and I just can't stress that enough.
Totally, yeah. That's when things get dicey, when you're really trying to push the limit, you're down to the wire, you're on your last day of a contingency, trying to slap this contract around and try to find some random buyer. Yeah, that's when, obviously you do want to have strong contracts involved, but I couldn't agree more, Alex. That's why we always teach having your buyers ahead of time, and you have rapport built with them. You understand their criteria extremely well so that you ensure the highest likelihood of closing on any contracts that you're actually going into. So that is really one of the strongest ways and the smartest ways to mitigate risk in wholesale real estate and really any deal is just, having great relationships and working with buyers that will close, right? That will do what they say they're going to do. The buyers that we work with, they are very reputable, and we will take their word for it when they say they're going to do something. I mean, we still will sign contracts, of course, because the title company will need contracts. They'll need an assignment contract to actually facilitate the transaction. But we pride ourselves on working with buyers that we've built relationships with and that will do what they say they're going to do because they're just consistently buying and they're always looking for a great deal.
Yeah, just overall trustworthy people that do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
If you work with those types of people, then you can get it down on paper. That's very important. Get everything down on paper that you agree upon. But then you have the confidence that they're going to fulfill and follow through. Be on the lookout for the next video in this series. And if you want to build a hyper-profitable wholesaling and flipping business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch. See you there, and happy wholesaling.